Okay, in this demo, we're going to talk about taking a panel in which I did a render, and then I did a paint over on top of that. So it's the paint over. Um, and this we're going to map onto a dome, right? A dome in Unreal Engine. So to do that first, we can't use it like this because in the dome setup, and I'm just bringing up Maya for example. Let me grab this dome. If we look at the UVs, it's a top-down, right? So the geo that you're going to be using is a top-down projection. And like I mentioned before in class, it's kind of like a snow globe, right? So in order to make this usable, we're gonna have to convert this into a sphere or a snow globe. And simply put, we just go through into say filter. Just gonna flatten everything first, make a copy. Okay, filter, distort into polar coordinates. Just say OK. And then now, in order to get it to square, we have to go to image, image size. Make sure this is unchecked for the linking. Otherwise, it's always going to keep it constrained. And 4096 by 4096. And there we have it. We have our snow globe. And this one, we're going to save it out. And I've done that already. And then other layers that I wanted to focus on. So if we go back into here, maybe, for example, wanted to separate out these buildings over here. Right, the ones over here. And maybe I want to put that on a card in Unreal. So in order to do that, we just create like a texture map for it, right? 4K texture map. We have the buildings here, and you can fill as many buildings as you want, you know, as much as the resolution can handle, and then and also an alpha for it. Same thing I did, just a fall card, an alpha, and then this is for just the ground. It's really a rough ground that's going to be mapped on a cylinder top. Okay, so those are the files, essentially the color files from Photoshop. And then let's go move on to Unreal. So I'm going to pop open Unreal. And we're going to start from scratch. New project, blank. I do not want starter content. And here, it's going to specify where we want it. Right now, I just have it in my project folder. And then we got to give it a name. So I'm just going to call this Skybox Setup underscore demo. Alright. So here we have just a plain scene. Comes with its own little default Skydome, which we don't need. Let's go. Delete that. Okay. And here, it's good that we put everything in the content folder. So we can actually find that project folder. So let's go grab that real quick. Text, Unreal. Here it is, Skybox demo, right? It's inside this content. Right now it's empty. And here I'm actually going to do a new folder. You can see when I create a new folder here, it automatically creates in there. You can also do here to say add new folder, but it's sometimes easier to bring this window side by side because we're going to be dragging and dropping a lot of stuff. And in here, I'm going to create 3 folders: maps, materials, and obj, which is objects. In Maya, I already had saved out the Skydome that we're using. like a ground plane, and then some other stuff like let's see. This we're gonna save out. So this is essentially just creating a square. So let's start from scratch, like this. And in order to just get this plane to export out, I actually do want to do really simple cutout right here. Okay. And I want to get this to increase my grid for a second. Should be good actually. 400. There it is, it's so tiny. Alright, that's fine. The only reason I was doing that is I kind of do want to snap to the grid size. So we can center this, because when we bring this into Unreal, it's gonna bring in where it is in world space. There we go. And then I want to clear history, freeze transform, reset transforms, and then I would go ahead and I would export this out into, say, export selection and FBX. I already did that. So up here, square building, A1. So I did this for every piece of geo. Like we had a little fog, I did that for that. Just created a same thing. Just create a plane like this. So, well, here we go. But with this one, I just made sure I just stretched it a little bit because that's how I want my fog. And that's how it was in Photoshop. In that aspect ratio. And I don't care about cutting the geo and all that because this is the only one card with one image on it. Okay, and I exported it out as FBX. Okay, let's go back to Unreal. So we had in Unreal, we were setting up our 3 folders: maps, materials, OBJ, right? So I'm gonna grab where I saved all the original stuff. Let's see here. Okay. Here are our maps. Some I don't need. Here we go. And you can copy that over. In our objects. This one, this. And we copy that over. Right. You'll notice when we do that, Unreal automatically detects the changes that we've made. And of course, we want to import them. Click on that. Just a second. Okay. So FBX export import options. I want to make sure do not create material. That's the only thing you have to change on this one because we're going to create our own materials. And import. Import. So it will default to what we had set place before. So just let it do its thing. Alright, cool. You see, all our maps are here in the same folder structure, right? With the materials empty, which we will take care of that in a little bit. So Sometimes it gets confused. I don't know what that's doing there. Just go away. Okay, here we go. So we're going to plop in the Skydome. And you can see when we first put it in, it doesn't put it at 000. We just have to just a little reset here to default. And that'll get everything, all the origin and all that set to 000. Okay, so let's create the material for the Skydome. Inside that blank materials folder that we created, it's going to right click material, and we're going to rename this Skydome color. MTL actually as a material. Okay, once we double click that, it's going to give you this. Just the editor for the material, right? There's nothing on it right now. The nice thing about this, we can go right into that maps folder that we had, and we'll just drag and drop, right? And it automatically creates the right node for us. And this is very important. On the Skydome material itself, we want to make sure it's unlit. So the default is lit. We don't want light affecting our mapping. The minute we say unlit, all that's left is the emissive. So it's essentially like a surface shader, right? It's like doing a camera projection in Mayan, which we're just emitting the image and we're not receiving light. And that's just simply put, just drag our RGB right into there. And you gotta always make sure you say apply changes. Okay, now we go to our materials and drag and drop. Right? There's a Skydome with our material in it. Right, so there's that painting we did.